This podcast is brought to you by Progressive. Are you driving your car or doing laundry right now? Podcasts go best when they're bundled with another activity, like Progressive home and auto policies. They're best when bundled too. Having these two policies together makes insurance easier and can help you save. Customers who save by switching their home and car insurance to Progressive save nearly $800 on average. Quote a home and car bundle today at Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. National average 12-month savings of $793 by new customers surveyed who saved with Progressive between June 2021 and May 2022. Potential savings will vary.
This episode may contain explicit language. Welcome to Mom and Dad Are Fighting, Slate's parenting podcast for Monday, November 6th, the Lights Out edition. I'm Jamilah a writer, contributor to Slate's Care and Feeding Parenting column, and mom to Naima, who is 10, and we live in Los Angeles.
I'm Elizabeth Newcamp. I write the homeschool and family travel blog, Dutch Goose. I'm the mom of 3 littles, Henry, who's 11, Oliver, who's 9, and Teddy, who's 7. We live in Tokyo, Japan.
I'm Zach Rosen. I make another podcast. It's called The Best Advice Show, and I'm dad to Noah, who's 6, and Ami, who's 3. We live in Detroit.
On today's show, we have a letter from a parent who can't get their kids to settle down at bedtime. Then we will have recommendations and some advice from you as we dive into our mailbag. See you back here in a minute.
This episode is brought to you by KiwiCo. You know I love a gift that's actually an activity, especially when it involves something hands-on. When it comes to children, there's something truly magical about giving them a present that not only captivates their imagination, but also inspires a deeper dive into a subject they adore, like art or science or engineering. You can unwrap super fun science, technology, and art projects for kids with KiwiCo. There are 9 different subscription lines for different ages and in different categories, so there is literally something for every kid. We absolutely adored the KiwiCo handmade soap box, and what made it truly special was the opportunity to embark on this creative journey together with them. It was a hands-on activity. We bonded while crafting something truly unique. What made it even more remarkable was that it was a project I would have never tackled alone. There were just too many materials, which of course are all provided in the box. Plus, I had literally no idea what I was doing, which made it fun for the kids because they knew as much as I did. Plus, we now have the sweet satisfaction of using this adorable handmade soap. Sure, you can buy soap, but isn't it way more fun to make your own? KiwiCo crates are fun and stress-free. These are tested and approved by kids, and no crate from KiwiCo leaves without approval from their toughest critics, kids. Unwrap more than a gift. Discover hands-on fun with KiwiCo. Get your first month free on any crate line at kiwico.com/momanddad. That's your first month free at kiwico.com/momanddad.
This episode is brought to you by EveryPlate. Hoping to budget your food expenses this holiday season? Get more bang for your bite with America's best value meal kit. EveryPlate is 25% cheaper than grocery shopping with no hidden fees, so you can add more items to your cart for delicious holiday meals. Plus, only pay for what you need with pre-portioned ingredients. So I consider myself a connoisseur of the vegetarian sandwich. I'm always looking for new ideas, new combinations. I can thank EveryPlate for the most recent iteration that I was delighted by. It was their charred zucchini and tomato melts. So what came in my pre-portioned box is a zucchini, fresh mozzarella, sourdough bread, shredded pepper jack cheese, garlic, a tomato, sweet potato for sweet potato fries, and so good. Because a grilled cheese is always delightful, but if you add some zag to that cheese in the form of zucchini, it's going to work out great, and it'll get your kids to eat vegetables if they have a hard time doing so. It was delicious. Crossing off your to-do list ahead of this holiday season, get EveryPlate and take back your time with fewer trips to the grocery store and meals ready in 6 simple steps. They plan the meals and deliver pre-portioned ingredients right to your door so you can spend less time meal prepping and more time resting and relaxing over the holidays. Choose EveryPlate over takeout to save money while still enjoying fresh, satisfying meals. Their meals are 50% cheaper than your average fast casual meal. They're the easiest way to eat affordably. Put the money you save toward making holiday plans. Get started with EveryPlate for just $1.49 per meal plus $1 steaks by going to everyplate.com/podcast and entering code 49momanddad. That's $1.49 per meal plus $1 steaks by going to everyplate.com/podcast and entering code 49momanddad. That's up to a $110 value.
We're back. Let's get into our listener question. Dear Mom and Dad, we have a young school-aged child who resists settling down at bedtime, even when our nightly routine is well established. For example, there are nights when he just won't relax after we read stories and turn off the lights. We're seeking a practical and fair approach that we can enforce without being too strict. Any recommendations or ideas to make bedtime smoother? Thanks. Bedtime never ends.
Okay, first, I think that you need to look at your routine and just make sure that it's hitting all of its goals. So that would be the first thing that I did, is just like, are you meeting sensory needs? My kids need some like movement, so like some yoga or some jumping around before you brush teeth. Are they getting like a little bit of adult time that is like focused on them? Like, are you sitting with them a minute and letting them talk? Are you like reading? Are you getting that cuddle time in? Like making sure that that progression is happening. Because you say you have a routine, but like, is the routine meeting all their needs? All right, this is what we did when I had a very similar issue. I also think this is just like something that happens with kids sometimes. Like they don't want to go to bed. The adults are staying up. Why can't they stay up, right? Like they think they're missing all of the fun. But we just needed a little bit of like enforcement. So I did something called bedtime passes, which I had read about, and then we kind of tweaked to make it work for us. We had them decorate note cards, and each of them had 3 of them, 3 little bedtime passes. They can use these passes to get out of bed for something specific, or if they get out, we take a pass. And any passes in the morning were exchanged for something for the day. And this could be anything, whatever you were motivated by. We exchanged ours for like time with us, essentially. So like if you turned in 3 passes, we made a little chart. This could be 15 minutes of getting to play Nintendo Switch with one of us, or a board game or something that would happen. So, and they could turn in, you know, we're the new camps. We had a whole elaborate system on the wall of passes and things, but you could make it really simple with, a little toy or a sticker, depending on how old your kid is. But we essentially were trying to make them think like, is this worth a pass, right? So like you don't want to get up because you'll have to use a pass. After they use all of their passes, they just kind of get a hug, picked up, back in bed, a hug, pick up, back in bed. And this did work for us. Eventually they started staying in bed. I did offer them like, I think a book or a podcast or a little projector that put stars on the sky, like something to help them lay there. Because I don't know if you've ever had trouble sleeping or like getting down, but it is hard to be like, I am now going to lay down. Like, just let me be here.
Oh, yeah.
So I think any chance to make that a little bit easier at the same time of making them understand that this is a choice that they're making. And my last little tip is that don't shut their bedroom door. When I first started doing this, I left the bedroom door open and I would sit just down the hall. So that it's still like dark, but I would sit just down the hall and fold laundry or read my book or do some kind of task where I was physically right there, kind of moving around. But you need to be, I didn't want to sit outside the room like I have nothing to do. I wanted them to know I was busy. I do jobs after you go to bed, right? This is one of the reasons I need you to go to sleep, is because I need some time to do some things. But once I shut the door, it was like, then they needed to open it if they need something to check in on me. It's like, if I'm kind of there and I'm poking my head in, I found they were more likely to kind of stay there. So that's what worked for me. Do you guys have some tips?
I wonder if your kid's bedtime is too early. Maybe because they're getting older, they should just be able to stay up a little later. That's a possibility. If you've tried that and it's like, yeah, they stay up later, but then they won't get up for school, I totally get that. But it's possible that your growing kid is just ready for a later bedtime. So that's one thing to explore. Liz, what you just said about podcasts, I mean, like Noah goes to sleep with a podcast pretty much every night. It's usually Brains On or Arthur. And she uses it, I think, as ambient noise. Like, I don't know how much of it she's absorbing, but there's like a whole genre of podcasts that are designed to just make you go to sleep. Like, Get Sleepy is one. I Can't Sleep. They're like boring podcasts with like beautiful, like resonant voices reading boring stories. And if you haven't tried that, like, that might put your kid to bed real fast. Something that we've been doing with Ami, our 3-year-old, who is pretty rambunctious at night, even when it's late. Like he does have a hard time going to sleep. He's into trains, and there's this one YouTube video called California Trains by Mike Armstrong. I know his name because we watch it every goddamn night. And he's just like a train spotter guy who has just videoed like hundreds of trains in California departing and leaving stations or just driving by. And we just like watch California trains for 5 minutes. And that's a very nice kind of soothing way to start drifting off. And that usually helps. And it's kind of a treat. It's like, ooh, I get TV. It's like, yeah, it's train TV though. So just the sound of the train. And I don't know. I mean, do you remember how you felt when you read Polar Express as a kid? I feel like there's just like something about trains and sleep that are
I know.
synonymous
Do you have
with
the
each
book
other.
Steam Train, Dream Train?
No, but I
Get that
think I
from your
need to.
library.
Okay, great.
It was
Yeah.
we had big train people. That was like our favorite nighttime train book.
Yeah. Oh, good.
I co-sign.
you know-
The podcast to me is like such an easy win. I do a podcast or something at night too because I have a hard time like getting into bed and feeling like I have nothing to do when the job is to go to sleep. It's like I think the podcast is like a bridge for that. I don't.
Yeah. And if your kid's old enough, I mean, there's nothing puts me to sleep more than taking out a book and starting to read. So if your kid's old enough, like you could treat like, hey, put yourself to bed, read for a little while.
Yeah,
And
get a small
they won't
reading
last more
light.
than 10 minutes. Yeah.
I think they should also check in about sugar intake and see, and we're dessert people, so I get it.
Yeah.
But, it's possible that your child is having a little bit, too many sweets late in the evening, and it's got them wound up and making it harder for them to go down.
Yeah. And stop giving them espresso too after dinner.
Yeah.
Enough of that.
Just give them decaf.
I wanted to recommend the book Goodnight Yoga, a pose by pose bedtime story. That is still one of our favorites. We don't use the book anymore. We just do some of the poses. And there's also that Cosmic Kids Yoga has some like bedtime one. If you wanted to do like, you're all after dinner, you all go to wherever and do that together in front of the TV and then move on to kind of your next thing. It's a good like transition for us.
Yeah, Namaste too, which is in that same tradition. Because that feels like, ooh, I get to play now, but it's actually these very, soothing meditative movements that are absolutely a great transition. I couldn't agree more.
Yeah,
we do that a lot.
There's lots of like checking in with your body, which I think is like a good way to sort of like, how am I feeling? Am I feeling antsy? And that was sort of the idea with the bedtime passes too, is like check. Sometimes you do have to get up and that's okay. But like we're checking in about like, do I have to get up or am I bored in some sense, which is we're supposed to kind of be getting bored. Jamila, was Naima ever like this? Like up, up, up?
No, she wasn't. She wakes up at night. Like to this day, she'll still wake up and come get in the bed with me. But like generally, like when I put her down, she she swears, she's like, I don't sleep well. I'm like, Naima, I watch you sleep. She's like, I never fall asleep. I'm like, I hear you snoring, like I know that you start the night out asleep. So that really wasn't much of a problem for us when she was small. But we still have like bedtime rituals together. Like she's not at the age where I can be like, all right, girl, good night. Like go in the room and put yourself down. We still either read together or we watch a show together and wind down, do our skincare together. She still requires.
But there's nothing wrong with that. Like we do that as adults. Like I feel like Jeff and I have routines we do together before we go to bed. I don't like, even Henry is like, it's not the same anymore, but there are still things he clearly needs. Like he still comes in for a hug. We all brush our teeth at the same time, even if Jeff and I are going to like eat again. Like there are these things I think we do as a family that makes us sleepy. Like there's nothing that makes you sleepier than having someone else sleeping, right? Like I don't know, but when I lay with the kids or if I'm in there, it is like better than any kind of sleep medication.
Oh yeah.
Like I'm
just
like
to hear someone like breathing deep like that.
Yeah. I did want to plug one other. We're using this book, A Poem for Every Night of the Year. I would say this year, but we started it when we got to Tokyo. And it's a very nice, boring way to end our story. Sometimes the kids pick stories that are kind of like up, but this has lovely little like thematic poems. Sometimes they're way over their head, sometimes they're not. But we're really enjoying just reading one little poem before I turn off the light.
One more thing to consider is melatonin.
Yeah.
They make it for kids. Obviously, I am not a doctor, but we've used it in the past and it worked pretty well. And there's some other homeopathic, over-the-counter child sleep aids that you can buy too.
Yeah, talk to your doctor too. I will say this is such a good point because if your child has ADHD, sensory processing, any of that, some of those, and again, not a doctor, some of those neurodivergent stuff, they actually can't produce the melatonin the same way or can't. Some doctor's going to write in with the actual knowledge, but some kids have a harder time with that kind of getting over the hump of feeling sleepy. Mm-hmm. And sometimes like a little bit of melatonin can help them eventually start to produce it. There's certain like nights or certain things that happen. So definitely talk that for Oliver for a while. The doctor was like, you should just try this. And it worked like a charm. He was just like up. He could not settle. And we used it for a while and then he stopped needing it. So that's great.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you. Bedtime never ends. Please keep us posted. On that note, we're going to take a quick break. See you back here in a minute. Hey there, Mom and Dad Are Fighting listeners. It's the holiday season, so let's talk about Etsy. Are you on a mission to find handcrafted, affordable gifts made by independent sellers? Well, whether you're searching for custom home pieces like cutting boards, linens, and throw pillows for your favorite holiday hosts, or personalized items like purses, necklaces, and seasonal jackets for your most stylish friends and family, Etsy has it. If you need something for the home chef in your life, like serveware and cookware, or style pieces like rings, clutches, and bangles for that trend-setting special someone, Etsy has it for all budgets and any gifting mission. Etsy has even put together one-of-a-kind gift guides for him, her, kids of all ages, and more, so you'll never run out of ideas. New to Etsy? Use the code HOLIDAY10 for 10% off your first purchase. That's code HOLIDAY10. Maximum discount value of $50. Expires December 31st, 2023. See terms at etsy.com/terms. For handcrafted, affordable gifts for everyone on your list, Etsy has it. Shop Etsy.com.
This episode is brought to you by KiwiCo. As a parent, there's nothing more rewarding than seeing your child's eyes light up with curiosity and enthusiasm. When you give a gift that inspires a child to explore a topic they're passionate about, you're not just offering them a present, you're fostering a love for learning that can last a lifetime. That's why I turned to KiwiCo craft boxes. With their thoughtfully curated kits, kids can delve into subjects like science, art, and engineering, turning playtime into an educational adventure. These boxes spark a flame of inquisitiveness in our little ones, encouraging them to ask questions, experiment, and discover. When you're giving KiwiCo, you're gifting so much more than a small box of toys. Our family recently embarked on the delightful journey of candle making. Well, here's the thing. It wasn't just about crafting. It was about learning the art of following directions, a skill that we often take for granted, as well as all gathering around the table and watching our kids decipher the step-by-step instructions and teaching them the importance of precision and patience. But here's the best part. Everything I needed came in the box, and the quality is actually really, really good. Like, this is a candle that we could gift. This is a candle that we can actually use. I sort of look at it and can't believe we actually made it. Unwrap more than a gift. Discover hands-on fun with KiwiCo. Get your first month free on any crate line at kiwico.com/momanddad. That's your first month free at kiwico.com/momanddad.
This podcast is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Whether you're driving, cooking, or doing laundry, Progressive knows the podcasts you listen to go best when they're bundled with another activity, much like how their Progressive home and auto policies go best when they're bundled. Having these two policies together makes taking care of your insurance easier and could help you save too. Customers who save by switching their home and car insurance to Progressive save nearly $800 on average. That's a whole lot of savings and protection for your favorite podcast listening activities, like going on a road trip, cooking dinner, and even hitting the gym. Yep, your home and your car are even easier to protect when you bundle your insurance together. Find your perfect combo. Get a home and car insurance quote at Progressive.com today. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. National average 12-month savings of $793 by new customers surveyed who saved with Progressive between June 2021 and May 2022. Potential savings will vary.
All right, we're back. Before we get out of here, we're going to do some recommendations. Elizabeth, what are you recommending this week?
Okay, I am recommending the Google Chrome library extension, which is if you use Google Chrome as a browser, they probably have this for other browsers, but I'm a Google Chrome user. Mm-hmm. If you install this extension, when you are on Amazon and you look up a book, it will tell you if it is available at your library. Cool. You can add in all your libraries. You can add in Libby, Hoopla, like whatever electronic resources. And when you click the button, it'll take you right to it. For me, this is like I don't know if you have... I have multiple libraries that we belong to. And so the idea of searching through all of them, the Libby app is actually, if you have the Libby app, which is the checkout for ebooks that most libraries are using now, and audiobooks, it does search all of your libraries at the same time now, which is great. But this to me is the easiest to go to Amazon. I type in the book and it tells me if it's at the library. It tells me how many copies they have, all of that. It's just kind of made my life in finding the books that the kids want, or if I'm reading about something, I can just quickly put it in, or just add it to my Amazon wish list from my phone and then go look and see if it's at the library. It's just kind of been a really great way for me to check, and it pops up every time. So once you install it and anytime you're looking on Amazon, it kind of reminds you do you really need to buy this, or could you just check it out at the library?
Love that. That's really smart. Cool.
Very nice. Zach?
I am recommending, well, if you heard last week's show, you know that we're going through it right now. So Shira made a puppy chow. You might know it as Muddy Buddies. Do y'all know that snack? It's rice Chex with a chocolate chip peanut butter in the microwave fudge mixture, and then you top it with powdered sugar. So that alone is just one of the great party snacks. But do you know what I did? I took that puppy chow and turned it into straight up cereal. So I poured this happened at least 3 times in the last couple of days. Poured myself a huge bowl of puppy chow and then doused it in milk. So it was just the world's most decadent sweet cereal. And my God, that was so good. Did I feel better after? No, but it was delicious during. And if you want to just go all out, treat yourself to Muddy Buddies in milk.
That sounds so
my God.
It sounds so good. But is cereal a comfort food it's a comfort food for me.
Yes.
Something about the cold milk
comes together. You don't have to prepare it. So I think it's also you don't have to have your life together.
This sounds delicious. Another one for the Mom and Dad Are Fighting cookbook.
Yes. You unlocked a special childhood memory. I remember being at day camp and one of the counselors made us Muddy Buddies, which is just so unthinkable now. Somebody brought food from home that they prepared, but it was so good. And I begged my mom. I was like, I have to have this again, please. I went so many years without having puppy chow. I don't think it was until they started marketing it as Muddy Buddies. Oh, really? That's what's called on the shelf, right? Muddy Buddies.
I think so, yeah.
Oh, Chex makes it now.
I'm sure it'll still do
you can buy it pre-made. Yeah.
It's not as good because it's not gooey. Homemade ones are gooey.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yes, you're right. Does it keep the what happens to the mixture in the milk? Is it floating on the top or no?
Yeah, that's true. The denser pieces that are covered in chocolate, those might sink. Whereas the less chocolatey, more powdery ones float. But no, it was just it was a blur, quite frankly.
But a delicious blur.
Yeah, just
you repeated.
Wonderful. Yep, 3 times in 2 days. Yeah, so good.
You should have another bowl after this. Sounds delicious.
They're all gone. All gone.
No.
Did you make a whole box of Chex worth?
Well, we went to a big Friends thing this weekend, and so Shira made two full cereal boxes worth.
Oh, wow.
And we got the leftovers.
Nice.
And when I say we, I mean me, because Shira didn't have. I ate them when she was away at work. What have you got, Jamilah?
Well, I don't have a family-friendly recommendation this week, but I think I have a good one. It's a movie. It came out last year and it's streaming on Netflix now. It's called No Hard Feelings.
Okay,
It's
looking it
The
up.
Jennifer Lawrence.
Jennifer Lawrence movie.
Uh-huh.
It's about a woman. She's in her early 30s, down on her luck. She's about to lose her house. She lives in Montauk, where rich people go vacation. So she's one of the locals. And this couple advertises that they will give a free car to a young woman who will date their son.
They're like a teenage son.
He just graduated high school, so he's 18.
Okay.
And I heard about, I'd seen the commercials for it or whatever, and I thought, oh, that might be fun. I watched it this weekend. It is so funny. It is so funny. Like,
Okay, I'm
when the
excited
kids are
because
asleep.
the person in front of me was watching it on the plane, and I was like, oh, I think because the guy who plays the boy he's like from Dear Evan Hansen from Broadway, who in New York. And so I recognized him and Jennifer Lawrence, and I was Googling it. But then I was like, I just read the description. I was like, I don't know. Is this going to be funny or is this going to be... But it's funny. You're saying it's funny?
It's funny.
And
a little touching. And now it makes sense that the boy's a Broadway star because he sings at one point in the movie. And I was watching it with a friend. We were like... He can sing, like you just don't expect an actor to just randomly, have this other talent. But he's a great singer, and it's a really very funny movie. The parents are funny. It's just good.
Great. It's on Netflix, right?
And it's on Netflix.
Sweet.
All right. Well, we've got one more thing before we go. We want to share some of the amazing notes and letters that you guys have been sending us. First up, we heard from lots of you after our episode called Traveling with Kids is like pulling off a heist. And you all shared some tips and tricks of your own. Jessica wrote, after listening to the letter asking for advice while traveling with kids, I thought of a tip that really helped us. Starting from about 2.5 or 3 years old, I made a little flow chart of the long haul flight using pictures to show what would happen on the plane. For example, boarding, iPad playtime, stretching, snack time, story time, brushing teeth, sleep, playtime, walking up and down the aisle, eating, etc. This helped the kids know what was going to come next, set expectations about sleeping, etc. My kids like checking things off a list, so it was also fun for them.
And we got this one from Tara to help with that air pressure discomfort. You mentioned ear pain when flying with kids. May I share my solution with you? A special earplug that relieves air pressure discomfort. I have been using them for years, and they have totally fixed my ear pain during air travel. Way better than chewing gum. Some of you mentioned that you fly frequently, so I thought this might help. They make a children's size and an adult size. I absolutely love the show. Your podcast is my #1 favorite podcast. I'm a Slate Plus member because of your show. That's so nice. And I had no idea about these. That sounds like a great invention.
I have not used them, but I went and checked them out after I saw this letter. It sounds like a great idea.
Yeah.
Jen also sent us a letter, and this is one of my favorite hacks, so I'm excited about this. She said, on your Flying with Kids podcast episode, you recommended boarding early with your kids to get situated. For some kids, I'm sure that works, but I present a counterpoint, boarding as late as possible. The earlier you board, the longer kids have to sit in their seat and the longer you need to entertain them there. I've had better luck when I let my littles run around the entire time people are boarding, and we just sneak in at the end. This is a risk if you're traveling with carry-on bags in case they run out of overhead bin space, but we are still in car seat territory, so we check a bag anyway. Bonus points if you have a second adult who can board at the regular time to take all the bags and get set up, and then the other adult stays in the terminal with the kids as long as possible. Every family is different, but this is what works for us. Thanks for all of your great advice. So this is what we would do. We'd send one parent with all of the stuff, and the other parent would stay with the kids.
That's smart.
And honestly, I usually left Jeff with the kids because if he was traveling with me, then I had some time to like get us all set up. And usually, honestly, because they would let me board like kid early boarding with all the stuff. And then I got like 10, 15 minutes to center myself before the chaos.
That's your vacation right there. That's 10
And
minutes.
actually on some flights now that we've been traveling alone, Henry will board with the overhead bags, and then I stay with Teddy and Oliver. So I like that. The less time on the plane, the better.
Yeah, I agree. That's a great point.
Thank you so much for writing in. We always love hearing from you guys. Remember, you can reach us at momandadslate.com. And that's our show. Please subscribe, leave a rating and review, and tell your friends. This episode of Mom and Dad Are Fighting is produced by Maura Currie. Shasha Leonard is the voice of our listeners. Alicia Montgomery is the VP of Slate Audio. For Elizabeth Newcamp and Zach Rosen, I'm Jamilah Lemieux. Thanks for listening.
Hey everybody, it's Tim Heidecker. You know me, Tim and Eric, Bridesmaids, and Fantastic Four. I'd like to personally invite you to listen to Office Hours Live with me and my co-hosts, DJ Doug Pound.
Hello.
And Vic Berger.
Howdy.
Every week we bring you laughs, fun, games, and lots of other surprises. It's live. We take your Zoom calls.
Music.
We love having fun. Excuse me?
Songs.
Vic said something.
Music.
Songs.
Music.
I like having fun. I like to laugh. I like to meet people who can make me laugh. Please subscribe now.